This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have each of the three of you introduce yourselves before you start throwing punches. Okay, we're going to have a good, clean fight. Okay, you see your gloves? Okay, you see your gloves? All right. Good. Not the table. So,
I'm John Stokes in the blockchain development, AI research, and space industries, and I'm here to debate some Shitcoin stuff.
Hey guys, my name is Tom Vays. I've been in the crypto space since about 2014, 2015. Watched many altcoins come and go, and when I eventually understood what the underlying technology was all about, I've never even considered buying an altcoin ever again. And we're going to talk about why. Understand? What's going on there, everybody? My name is Justin Bradley. I go by the Bitcoin B. I've been in the Bitcoin space since 2016, and I'm not a developer or a financial guru or a tech guy. I found out about Bitcoin coming home from prison, and when I did, I used it to better my life, change my life around, and study Bitcoin as hard as some people study college. And so now I just go out with other people in this group called the Black Bitcoin Millionaires and educate as many people as possible how you can turn your life around with Bitcoin. And, surprisingly enough, I didn't do it with a shitcoin. No, I said I did turn my life around with a shitcoin. I did not. Oh, did not.
well, congratulations. So, was it Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, okay.
That's good. I drive a Ford to get to me to work every single day, so it doesn't mean shit. You didn't do shit for anybody else. I'm okay, though. That means, all right, so, making each of you just a quick spiel where you're coming from. At least we got to get where we're coming from here. We'll also take some questions in a little bit.
Before we begin, as permit, we get define the parameters of what we're debating here. So are you debating the true Bitcoin Satoshi vision or the blockchain hacked Bitcoin?
If I may. The Bitcoin conference is down the street, okay? And we said this yesterday, but most of the reason why most of us here, aside from the fact that we can't afford a $1,300 ticket, and this group is $5 donation or just to walk in the door. Listen. That being said, I opened the East Coast Bitcoin Summit in 2012. This is exactly how we were treated by everybody else. And we were the rejects. And I'm still a reject. I'm proud of it.
I for one am sick and tired of these goddamn gatekeepers. So
okay, so all right. So let's talk about is there room for both? Clearly there is, because we're all here. We're literally 5 minutes from each other. This conference is probably a lot more. So most people have said already that we're together. And this doesn't mean that we're not going back and forth against who's better. But why is there a difference? We were the same people 10 years ago. What's the difference now? If we can make shitcoin, why is it called not? That's exactly how people treated Bitcoin before. I got laughed at 1,000, I got laughed at 100, I got laughed at 10, and now I'm like, what was the original shitcoin? The dollar. Let's start this. I just didn't want to hold out. So I was super heavy on gold, super heavy on silver, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, I believe in this. Awesome. Just be sure.
okay.
Well,
I got my start with Dogecoin actually trying to figure out the hurdles for merchant processing for e-cigarettes. If you are privy to merchant processing industries like e-cigs or gambling or porn or whatever, you have to have a high risk merchant processing account, and I figured out how to overcome that hurdle with Dogecoin, and that kind of gave me the insight and clarity to kind of see where this industry is going. And I just gave up on the E6 stuff and just went head first into the blockchain ecosystem. So that's kind of where my initiation.
Well, I just got a question. Why were you trying to figure out a payment system for, what was it, Dogecoin or Dash? Which one?
No. I was trying to figure out how to take payments for e-cigarettes. So
in what currency?
dollars, right?
Okay.
And so in order to set up a merchant processing account, you'd have to have like 3 months of banking history for this high risk account.
Right. So why did that path take you to Bitcoin? No.
But because I was able to make sales immediately.
What does that mean?
But you were taking dollars, right? What? No, I wasn't taking dollars. I didn't have any merchant processing account set up. I integrated coin payments and was able to start making orders and deliveries immediately. My first 7 sales were Dogecoin. I was like, well, this is
So you're saying that a Dogecoin payment is faster than a Bitcoin payment?
That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that's how I entered the space. So, that's the barrier breaking.
So you never heard about Bitcoin before anything. You just went from regular life to Doge.
I knew about Bitcoin. I was obviously accepting Bitcoin first. But
The question is, why didn't you solve your problem with Bitcoin?
I accepted all of the cryptos. It's just those first 7 silver Doge.
Were you keeping all of those cryptos?
I don't remember.
Or were you selling them back for dollars?
I think I was keeping them actually trading. And I was like, oh shit, this is cool.
Right. So were you growing your own? Because like usually a business has expenses.
Huh? This is all experimental. This is like my intro into the entrepreneurship journey. Just learning.
Okay, so check this out, right? One of my interests into the entrepreneurial journey, when I first learned about Bitcoin, I was selling vegan food at my house. I called it vegan on the go. And then my friend Bitcoin Zay showed me how to use Bitcoin simply just by accepting it. So I'm trying to wonder, it might have been hard, but how the hell was it easier for people to use Doge back in that day when they don't even have a real Doge wallet now? So what were they using to pay you with your Doge? Like when they were going to the exchange?
This is also a foreign payments processor. It's like 8 years. I guess this is. I think you are like trying to debate something. I'm just trying.
No. We got a little bit into the weeds there. So here's my general view on it. Like once Satoshi created Bitcoin, it really altered the world. 2 things happened. After like a year and a half, when people realized what Bitcoin was, it created decentralized money. It created a form of money that nobody controlled. And back then, the space was pretty unified. We're like, wow, this can actually take over the global fiat currencies, because global fiat currencies is a bunch of people printing their own money. But what also happened with the creation of Bitcoin is that a line of code suddenly was monetized. A line of code got monetized. That never happened before. And there are infinite amounts of lines of code. And people realized that, well, Satoshi was able to monetize a line of code, so I can also monetize a line of code. All I now need is a cool story to sell my monetized line of code. And this is basically what all of these altcoins are. It's a story that monetized a line of code. But the difference between Bitcoin and all these other stories that monetize the line of code is that Bitcoin isn't controlled by the person that created the story. It is actually a decentralized ecosystem like our internet itself.
I think the monetization line of code is the wrong frame of mind. I think it's more like a machine language that involves our ability to communicate. So you kind of think of like blockchain fundamentally as transactions of information that represent computational cycles. And that can exist on a redundant system, with blockchain augmented with all these other shitcoins, and you can't really have a resilient system like that if it's just Bitcoin. It's got to be enhanced and augmented with layers and layers of different shapes of like the internet and blockchains.
Complexity doesn't actually make anything less
or it's the value. I mean, Bitcoin doesn't have a value just because it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin has value because it's like unlimited trading pairs against all these other coins. It's a game theory, and
no, that's insane. Bitcoin has value because
Bitcoin, so you're saying Bitcoin only has value because it's tradable. So
what's defining value?
Okay, so let's define value. Let's say Bitcoin never appreciates in value, never goes up in price no more, right? So you would then have something we don't even have today to stake money. You would have a money that's outside of our government system that's, like Tone Vays said, is truly decentralized. Plus, technology does nothing but get better anyway.
So dialing it back, that's value and money and all those esoteric terms, it just boils down to communication fundamentally. So, so fiat currency is like, our layer or first level of this form of communication. And it's pretty clunky. It's just stop at borders. We have, the walled garden, the capital with the countries within the ECB and the SEC, and you have, it's hard to do money matters in countries like Africa and India and the rest of the world that are kind of outside this walled garden, right? So these cryptocurrencies are essentially an evolution of this language that effectively becomes a machine language that allows these autonomous processes and arbitration of information to essentially create a new model for communicating.
But isn't that what Bitcoin does already?
Bitcoin does that, but it's clunky. It's like 90-year-old tech.
I mean, it's clunky because people are on there. It's like a highway that actually works.
But our internet is 70-year-old tech, right? Like it's and we're reiterating on the internet too with Web3 applications. So like the thing about blockchain is that it is iterative, right? So you can start out with Bitcoin, the dinosaur legacy tech, and then you can iterate over and over and over until you have these smart contract languages and all these other amazing processes that can function on the blockchain oracles.
Here's a question. So you not going all point, not that's a question. So not going all point.
Not since like 2015.
So, man, let's talk use case real quick. What about the difference between Ethereum and DeFi and all that as far as all that's grown up? As far as use case in that you can't necessarily put the same application code Bitcoin.
DeFi is another made-up word. Like there's a huge difference between Ethereum and DeFi. Ethereum is an actual protocol. We know what Ethereum is. We can debate what Ethereum does, but we know what it is. I can ask 5 people in this room what the definition of DeFi is. I may have 5 different definitions completely. To me, DeFi is mostly yield farming, which is some guy making up, again, a line of code with a story. And he says, hey, if you lock up something of value, whether that's Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, you lock up something of value, I will pay you in the monopoly money I just invented. And all you got to do is help promote it. And you will get rich. Meanwhile, I'm not telling you that I'm holding on to 50% of the supply, and I get a lot more rich.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are pretty fucked up with the way you're like tokenomics and like shit. Why can't I just run an application on Ethereum testnet, right? But the way DeFi and when we're referring to DeFi, I think in the context of this conversation, we're referring to automatic market makers and yield farms. And what these new platforms do, it provides a democratic access to this ecosystem, and it allows people to essentially say "fuck you" to the gatekeepers, right? So, and with this new AMM yield farming stuff, it creates a game theory incentive to grow ecosystems. So, for example, I've been experimenting with Expanse first clone of Ethereum. So really small market cap, so I could do like 100,000 transactions for less than $1. So it's like a great testnet production kind of environment, right? So with experimenting with the sushi swap clone on Expense, I've been able to learn how these game theories can operate, and how these APYs attract liquidity into these tokens on these farms. And projects can now become liquid and pay dev teams and build out solutions without relying on fucking Binance or whatever, trying to extort them for a controlling stake in the ecosystem. And while we talk about state actors in China and shit, like all this, hey, hold on, all this Bitcoin, let me finish this thought. All this Bitcoin maxing shit is just propaganda. Like, you guys realize we're on the front lines of the whole war.
Listen, who the gatekeepers you're referring to?
The entire goddamn industry, all the people in the other fucking building, they're actually
Because we're going around words that don't really matter. Like, have you ever thought in your mind, like, well, damn, I might not just be on that level to be talking to? I mean, because with what it is you're bringing up about, but you said a whole lot of stuff to go around the fact that you didn't answer this man's question that one time.
I think you're moving to global coast and sidestepping. I'm talking about real shit. So if you hear address this stuff I'm talking about, or just circle jerk about Bitcoin.
I know it sounds great, but you standing by yourself with a sign is not out there on the front lines. Like,
bro, I just issued 10 on this March, man. I'm fucking checking that salary.
Again, you're standing there by yourself creating your own currency. It's not out there on the front lines. That's not going to do anything, right? There's like ego in there too. Like, Bitcoin could have already been destroying countries' currencies. It could have.
Consolidated all the hashing power. Where's all the hashing power?
A quarter of the world's governments could have already lost control of their own people with their government currencies if people would actually use Bitcoin. But instead, people don't want to use Bitcoin. People want to get richer by printing their own money.
Because Bitcoin's been co-opted, and you can't marry the goalpost about personal aspirations of greed and wealth and richness. Not everybody's.
How is something no one can control get corrupted? Like, this is the complete misunderstanding of how Bitcoin works and what it is.
You can still launch your shitcoin with no pre-mined, no crazy technologies. You can literally copy and paste the Bitcoin.
The creator of the shitcoin.
So I think there is. I think the Bitcoin code base is great. Like, look at multi-chain. Dr. Gideon Greenspan's iteration of the Bitcoin core code. So you have the ability to create permissionless and permission chains, which is interesting within like a consortium context. So like, yeah, Bitcoin does have valid tech, but Bitcoin core, like the branch, it's corrupted.
Here's one more issue that you have. When you put money of value in any of these other altcoin projects, let's talk about the but when you put something of value in any of these other projects, here's what usually happens. It blows up and someone says, oh, sorry, we lost. Like, that's it.
I don't see Jihad Group paying me back to pour Bitcoin from the miners anymore. You guys heard some all sorts of shit scams from Bitcoin.
I mean, are you if you own BlockFi and you receive 700 Bitcoin, would you pay it back?
What's the question? Yeah, if you were technically, that's not my money. So like, ATF's not mine, it's not mine. Right.
Alright, we're gonna talk about questions. So we're gonna take questions that are not against them. So the first hand that went up was right here. Second hand it's up was over there. So I'm just getting here to take questions.
All right, so you were talking about what we were doing or what John, what we were doing specifically to be able to run lines. So the first, I don't know if it's more of a question or as a statement, but what are you guys doing to actually exclude everybody? Having these events and making these general initial tickets all $1,500 inaccessible to the normal person who's supposed to walk by the street and come in. That's what we're doing. We made an event to include everybody to teach about not just Bitcoin, but all the ones that have a lot of ability, a lot of utility, and a lot of their profit feedback on really good people. And we're going to include everybody in it by making it accessible to everybody that wants to learn. So we're out of the lines, bringing in people from our community to be a part of this, because that's what it's about. We're about bringing people down there. We're going to all be able to do that is to make it possible for everybody to reach a door. And that's why we did this, because the Bitcoin conference, we love it. It was the first, it was what we were set for blockchain system on, it's what we're building on. But it's not the only one. And what's happening at the Bitcoin conference, it's not including everybody. But what we're doing with John Sexton, we're here to include everybody into this event. Which is why we made a donation basis. Which is why we made $5. Because we want mainstream adoption. And the only way to do that is, guess what? Include the mainstream. You teach them. You teach them how to operate on the system. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've been on the front line since then. All right, I've been there when Bitcoin was the only one, and I've brought in many people to learn for free because that's what it's about. We're a community-driven, we're a community product. It's not just about Bitcoin, but all the Shitcoiners. We're all community-driven, and that's what we're preaching. It's about the community. It's not about the money. It's about
So, you want to go first? So, like, number one thing that is, I can't help the fact that these folks charge all of them. Matter of fact, it really was bad to me because I know they sold general admission tickets for like $149 earlier. So, at the same token, when you are you speaking of just this fact of like, hey, they're not letting us in the room? I mean, you don't really need them though. Listen. And the whole community aspect, I respect it. That's great. We've been in the space 11 years. And, to be honest, man, I don't look at borders. Like, I know you just been, and if anybody here wasn't really digging my story, I don't look at fucking borders. So I don't care less about what they do. But as long as the money is open, as long as the opportunity is there, like some people have never had opportunities to care about being seen by gatekeepers. I mean, but hey, guess what? People charge for you. You probably go other shit that cost more than you can afford now, but you would still go and get it. The reason
So let me speak on like the democratized access to decentralized finance, right? Like, what's the Bitcoin transaction fee right now? Like, $5.
people at your community.
Yeah, I know, and I'm adding to that. So we're talking about the democratization of finance.
Well, we're answering the questions that were just taken. So let's just address this question.
I want to answer directly. I want to answer directly. So look, it's not about how much something costs, it's about how much value you get out of it. I have a YouTube channel. I want to do videos teaching people how to use Bitcoin. I always have my audience. Everyone wants to know what the price is. Those are free. Okay, you can go to a $1,000 event and pay $10,000 and get $20,000 worth of value. I actually have an event that I charge $10,000 for. Not a single person complained. However, if you were sitting in the same room for free with the guy selling you a timeshare, you got in there for free. That could actually cost you more money. So you can't say that just because something is free, it's better. That's not true at all. It's about how much value you get for it. And if 2,000 people were at the door right there and you couldn't fit them all in, you got to start charging them $5,000 to see who really wants to get in.
All this value you're talking about is free. But then use it. Then why are you complaining about it?
No, it's not that simple. It's not that simple.
You just said it's on YouTube and they want to be included. Go to YouTube.
We're on YouTube. Nobody knows. You go to the whole YouTube channel and you can lose all your money. Again, just because something is free
There could be free stuff. There could be a $10,000 video that could lose you 1,000. There could be a free video that will lose you all your money. Like you gotta figure out where the value is. You can't associate value with how much you pay for it. It's how much you get out.
Including the entirety of the community that we're going to teach that we want everybody to
Next question. Next question. I know how this feels. Let's just make this real simple. Stay on top of it when you get the microphone to me. Question. I'll see. Got more to say. We're already on fire next year. All right. Next question. I didn't change your life for that Shitcoin. So I went to prison too for like 3 years, and I did change my life for me what you guys call Shitcoin. And so like I agree with both sides. I see valid points from both sides. Like you guys are talking about decentralization and how the founders get like half of the tokens and all types of weird shit like that. When you talk about that, and you're saying like you guys are like bringing a lot more things to the industry because you need other layers. But like, what if there's a project that has like no admin keys and they lock all the liquidity on the exchange and they're 100% decentralized, like they didn't make any tokens for themselves, or like there's no special like privileges for early investors. Would it be fair? Would it be just that it's big?
There's too many assumptions in that statement.
No, but there you go. No, wait. It's not an assumption because I'm part of the project that we did that. So what I'm saying, if your only argument is that it's not built like that, if there is a project that's built like that, is it not cool?
That's what I mean. Like, yes, but there are too many assumptions, right? The biggest assumption is that that project is decentralized. You're telling us it's decentralized because someone told you it's decentralized. Can you prove it?
Yes.
You can prove it.
Yes, you can prove it on the blockchain. You can see that the admin keys were burned and all the liquidity is locked forever.
You can't see that. That's the problem.
You can't see the burning. Yes, you can't see.
It's telling you can't. You can't debate if you're not going to listen.
Telling you can't.
God damn it. I'm done. I'm not listening to this.
So we're talking about distribution. You know, Shitcoin distribution is kind of flawed. You know, so
I can tell my girlfriend that I burned her nude picture. That doesn't mean that I actually did.
We just saw it. There's no versions to a burn. We just saw it. If anyone here that can get on YouTube and just pull up a Vays token on Uniswap.
Oh, it's on Uniswap.
It's on Uniswap. We're 100% decentralized. There was no, even the founder had to buy the tokens. So it's the same price as the Ethereum rates. We're a token built on the Ethereum blockchain.
So the Ethereum itself isn't decentralized, right?
Well, Ethereum servers are.
Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, how did the DAO hack happen?
I'm not going to be on the future.
All right, so if you don't know how that happened, that had to with human involvement. So it's still trying to form on Ethereum, right?
I'm telling you, there's on Ethereum.
You guys are going on Ethereum, right?
It's on Ethereum.
This conversation.
there's hundreds of Ethereum virtual machines like experience to Ethereum.
So the talent goes down the world with Ethereum. Where's projects going?
It's not going to go down.
Anything built on Ethereum could be changed by the Ethereum developers. It's irrelevant what your project actually built. No.
Yeah, exactly. Same with the blockchain Bitcoin.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. There's corrupt code in the
So is Bitcoin core actually corrupted?
by blockchain, yes.
Where?
They're the ones that felt the core debt.
Where though?
By the debts they have on their payroll. The core developers they have on their payroll.
So you can go prove this now.
What's the definition of collusion?
Can you prove it now?
Yes, with the commits that corrupted the code base. Changed Bitcoin and made it to where it's only favorable to institutions. That's what
Where? Where?
It's actually the complete opposite of what happened. Institutions wanted a bigger block, and users like us prevented the institutions from winning.
Yeah, I debated Roger here on that and told him to make his own point and see what happens. So
You did it. It was so happy.
yeah.
Today, all right. Got another question over here. The reason why Bitcoin core developers can't change anything is because we don't have to use their code. But in Ethereum developers' code must be used by the Ethereum developers.
There's hundreds of Ethereum virtual machines. You can just fucking put
It doesn't matter how many
are all parallel networks. They're parallel networks. Parallel networks. They're parallel networks.
LDC correct. They augment each other. How many people develop shit that don't work all the time? Half the world is we have another question. Half the world is developed. Everybody dead, everybody promoted, everybody more expert now. I mean, it's 2020.
The case in Egypt, there was an Egypt apologist that wanted to charge and talk about the pyramid of deep breath. Deep breath. Deep breath. Man, what I say? Get on the flag. This guy has a question.
Yeah, oops, Jesus, I think it was one that I got my question. So if we're going to talk about like getting on someone's level, if we start looking at all of this from a global economic perspective and start looking at currencies as a whole, looking at the United States dollar as the reserve currency and everything else that is pegged to it, and going with different forms of securities and equities and different trading platforms across all the different countries that exist, different precious metals that periodically let use as value exchange or for chemical processes, to build anything, including the equipment that we're talking about. Why must we limit ourselves to just one single form? And I'm not saying that because I have a bias towards any of this. I mean, I just look at systems as a whole and I find out where I need to be so that my family can be okay.
So right there, that very last point. You don't have to. You asked us, why do we have to? But then you ended with saying something that you chose to do. So everybody, hold on, talking about majority of people in Bitcoin choose to be in Bitcoin. You don't really have to participate. So we're not actually saying you have to do anything. I'm not saying
So the taxi drivers in Africa don't have to participate because they can't afford a transaction. Okay, so 8 by 9 statistics are relevant. I'm asking why one of the captains choose.
I'll answer. Look, I'm not here to force anyone to do anything, right? I'm just here to explain why a world with a single currency, Bitcoin, is more efficient and better for you. You don't have to believe me. You may think that I'm trying to scam you in some way, right? You said, why must we use it? No, you don't have to do anything, right? It's like, let's talk about language maximums, right? Now, I feel that the world would be a better place if every single person on this planet spoke a single language. Now, of course, people have their culture and their pride, right? But let's take two extremes. A world where every little village of 20 people have their own language, or a world where every single person speaks the same language. Language is interoperable. Which world would you rather live in? If every time, if you take a taxi from here to the airport, you now have to try to communicate in a different language. Yeah, right. And well, not exactly right. You live in that world, and you may love that world, right? Like I'm personally, and I'm not here to force a single. Like I'm not here as a communist dictator to force a single language on the world. I'm just showing up at, let's say, some country in, like, say, North Korea finally is going towards democracy. I'm there going, hey, you may want to learn English because that would help you get out of your poverty that the government forced you to do. Meanwhile, every single person in North Korea says, no, I will create my own language. And now there are 40 languages coming out of North Korea. How does that help the North Korean people versus all of them learning one language that the rest of the world speaks? So I'm just here to help you guys understand that when you choose some altcoin because some guy stands on stage and makes sound smart, you're not doing yourself or people around you any favors because you're just making your life more complicated, potentially losing money.
You know what? I'm to the point now, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I've been in the space long enough to mature to this fact. Bitcoin is at $36,000. It's in the red. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in here are buying something else other than Bitcoin right now. And I want to say thank you. Because at the end of the day, it's more Bitcoin for me. So continuously doing what you're doing while Bitcoin is in the red. And I will always be grateful for the efforts and the things that you accept, for the choices you make for not dealing with Bitcoin in a time like this. So again, I hope you continuously make the choices you make.
See, you guys are witnessing a few people that get lucky and rich at these altcoins. And you end up not making your life better years down the line, and then you get angry at these early Bitcoin adopters.
Can we talk about something other than money? Like, I'm just so fucked about money.
Creating your own altcoin, the only thing you care about is money. Because you could have built up the knowledge without the money component. No one's
to get past all this gatekeeper bullshit.
No one stopped the knowledge from building a smart contract platform without a currency. He chose to do it with a currency.
Let's get back to my man right here.
To clarify my own stance, I happen to believe that a reserve currency Bitcoin would better the world, and I'm actually. Now, from a corporate perspective, a fundamental perspective, there are applications that cannot be run outside of the top of Bitcoin as a protocol, which is why it makes such a great currency. From a corporate and fundamental perspective, these different, you call them dApps, are just simply applications that can be processed on them. Is it not good to diversify?
I agree. I agree.
I mean, like, yes, I agree. This is 90% of the world.
I agree. To me, Ethereum is a corporation, no different than Amazon or Google. It doesn't have a structure. It doesn't have a CEO.
That's just my own perspective. So I don't know why. It's like they don't study enough in the speakers to know what's going on.
I see it. Every ICO started with Ethereum was the first ICO. The word ICO didn't exist at the time they did it, but Ethereum was the first ICO. It might have been, but no one cares about that one. Ethereum was like the first ICO that is still relevant today. And to me, Ethereum's ICO and every ICO that then became EIO or whatever, they're large corporations to me. With same thing as Ripple. Ripple to me is a security. It's always been a security. It's no different than Apple stock. It's a security of the corporation. To me, the Ethereum token is a security of the Ethereum corporation, and we all know who the CEO of Ethereum is. Now, what happens when that CEO decides to resign?
The Joe Lubin? Or
Hey, if you think it's Joe Lubin, yeah, they can fight it out. But Joe Lubin is he's over there as well. So to me, they are just like corporations. And that's the thing, if you're investing in the Ethereum token and you're thinking of it as an investment in a company, that's a better way to think about it. But not as a decentralized protocol that will change the world, because it won't.
Hang on, we got a line of questions. So we have about 6 minutes left. We're going to take a few more questions. You guys will answer like we're on.
Somebody asked about Bitcoin.
This is number 3. You should know that. You can talk about relief.
So NFTs is just a JPEG stored on IPFS for NFC. So NFTs we got Bitcoin.
Okay, so let's move on.
All right, you guys are going to tell thanks for the review today. A lot of punch being thrown. Anyway, I just want to say that I own Bitcoin. I also own Shitcoins. I've owned it since 2016. Who gives a fuck? Okay, like what point you have, you're making money and you're profiting off it and changing the world for the better, just like Cardano was doing. I mean, who cares? Who cares? It's about the money and the profit. I made $3,000 off of $200 of Shitcoin 2 years ago.
And now I got a mostly big ones. Who cares?
So let me give you a real world use case. They're actually the sponsors of the event. So I think it was 2016. The city of Austin decided to ban Uber and Lyft from providing services. So emerged Arcade City, and they provided a peer-to-peer service to facilitate ride share. And 5 years of development, they're releasing a full blockchain stack application to facilitate that service. So that's like, I think maybe the first real world services that incorporates microtransactions through blockchain, which can't be usable with Bitcoin or Ethereum, but functional on an Ethereum virtual machine using like Solana bridges and stuff like that. But so yeah, like a real world service that requires micropayments can't function with Bitcoin.
So that's not what the Lightning Network does?
Okay, so are you going to try to send more than a couple $100 to Lightning Network?
So eventually,
What's the most you sent over Lightning Network?
I haven't had the need for it yet.
So you're endorsing something you
I'll say probably up to
you're telling me to use something you haven't used yourself.
I've used Lightning Network.
Yeah, what's the most you sent over Lightning Network?
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
It does matter because it's not a secure protocol.
Do you have you used it? Have you used it?
No. And I'm not going to, because I know it's experimental.
Next question. Let's do this. Next question.
At this point, shitcoins can do a lot more transactions. I mean, both work, but Bitcoin is.
They probably do more transactions. Like that's so. Look, I'm going to answer the question directly, right? The people that come up here and say that it's just about the money, it's just about the money, right? But it's not just about the money once some rich guy does it, right? Like it's only about the money when you're able to have first access to the money. It's like nobody wants a dictator, but everybody wants to be the dictator, right? They keep that both ways, right? I have no problem with trading anything. Like everything that's going on here, like it's just penny stocks always existed. But people trade penny stocks all the time to make more money. But no one is out there saying, dude, this company right here is better than Google. They're better than Google. I know their stock is only worth half a penny, but just wait, just buy it, put all the money in it and wait. It's going to be better than Google. The world hasn't realized yet. That's why their stock is only worth less than a penny.
You're spending like money and profits and stuff. I'm not here talking about information. That's like the digital oil.
Why are you monetizing information?
It's not always because I'm monetizing. It's about making efficient processes for autonomous applications. We're trying to create money.
They shouldn't need their own money. It's not a token.
You don't need the tokens don't have to have a value as an application. So the voting blockchain, the voting application I want to work for the 2018 South by Southwest hackathon, they use internal tokens that don't have a value or don't, have whatever monetized the code or whatever. It's just the vote or the token.
Like, why did Binance need their own money when their competitors decided to do things honestly and ethically without creating their own money?
Binance forks Ethereum for Binance Smart Chain is the really
They had money way before that. They had a Binance for revolution.
It's really shouldn't come.
So the logic is, I want you guys to buy Bitcoin not because it's better for your financial future, but because it makes me richer.
Well, I mean,
It don't make it better.
Don't buy it. All right.
1 minute more. Yo, guys, this has been awesome. Everybody gets used to it.
This is why the lottery is such a popular government money earner. You guys realize when you play the lottery, the government keeps half the money, and then the other half of the money goes to some lucky guy. So it's a losing bet.
So shitcoins are the stepping block to make money obsolete, and like the narrative y'all are pushing kind of gets in the way of that.
I mean, well, you can have that narrative. Matter of fact, y'all can have all the results from one, like I said before, continuously keep the habits you've been keeping. Buy more shitcoins than you do Bitcoin. I beg of you to do so. Continuously do this. Because what I will continuously do is just go buy more Bitcoin. And that's just how I'm going to move forward with this rest of this conversation.
You guys will hate us more 5 years from now when there's a whole new set of shitcoins. The current shitcoins are at 0. Meanwhile, one Bitcoin is a $250,000 because we played the long game.
So closing statement, these technologies are tools, they're digital tools, they're really investment vehicles. You know, so the talking
No shitcoins are not investment vehicles.
Bitcoin's is real something great.
We know shitcoins are not.
Infamous stock to flow ratio, everybody used to try to put the bags like that was massaged into the already trajectory.
Has it been wrong?
No, it was massaged.
Guys, again, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that Bitcoin appreciates too slow and I gotta gamble on these shitcoins while at the same time saying we're trying to pump our bags with something that moves the slowest possible. And you can't have it both ways. You gotta choose one side.
Yeah, choose your side. Greed or changing the world.
Here's what I'm thinking. Let's take a break. Because here's what we're doing, Jim. By the way, get out of these guys. Thank you so much. It is okay. He's never going to come back. All right, watch this.